welcome to one more episode of Drug Discovery and Development with Ankur. With me is Brooks Robinson. Brooks is an old friend and collaborator. We worked together at University of Texas at Austin. We had one of the best collaborative efforts that I have seen in my life so far. Brooks and I published several papers together, several blogs, several news articles. We penned a book together on addiction. It's not just professional friendship, the personal friendship has continued since then. Very glad to see that out Brooks has taken in his career. He is now program head, is a program administrator at Resilience Institute in Colorado. I still have some academic affiliations, and I obviously run a company called Ankur, which I think is probably the most happening company in pharma world. We are small, but I'm pretty sure in a few years you'll be asking about where other companies went. Every few days we are coming up with a new lead through our state-of-the-art AI for several disorders, and we think sky is the limit. Now, what is a topic of discussion for me with Brooks is why is academia so inefficient?
Well, thanks for having me on, Sukant. As Sukant mentioned, I have a PhD in neuroscience, and I studied addiction in academia for many years. And I switched over and am currently working at the National Institute for Human Resilience as a program director. And I think there are many reasons why academia does not deliver as many solutions as it could. And those are structural issues with academia, as well as just kind of basic problems. And before we get to the structural issues, I'm just going to talk a little bit about and say that academic science is a slow process, and this is by design. At any given time, a researcher will be working on a tiny piece of an enormous puzzle. Over time, and with hard work and many people contributing, the image can come a bit clearer. I'm going to use my field as an example. Say a researcher is interested in drug addiction, specifically opioids. Let's assume the end goal is some sort of treatment for those addicted, or to develop a painkiller that is not addictive. There are two ways to go about this problem. There's the shotgun approach, where one tries thousands of molecules or treatments to see if they have the properties that are desired. But this approach has a lot of problems. For instance, we cannot take addicted humans and give them untested compounds just to see what happens. Plus, most scientists are more intellectually curious than this, which leads to the second method, which is let's try and figure out what happens when someone takes an opioid. Let's first understand the mechanisms of drug action and then tackle addiction. This is more desirable to most scientists, so let us continue along this line a little bit more. Okay, so we want to know the mechanisms for opioids in the brain. Well, there are specific receptors for opioids. We know this, so we can try and learn what happens to a specific receptor when it binds an opioid molecule. Well, there are also several types of opioid molecules that bind each receptor. Okay, so we pick a specific receptor and a specific molecule. Okay, well now we have to choose a specific neuron type because these receptors are expressed on many different types of cells within the brain and the nervous system. Okay, so now we've narrowed things way down. We can make our hypothesis, we can design our study, and we're good scientists, so we repeat our experiment many times to make sure the result is robust. We do all the necessary control experiments to ensure our findings are valid, and voila, we finally have a single graph showing the effect of an opioid on a receptor in a particular neuron type. Now, what happens on short versus extended exposures of opioids? What about repeat exposures? We are not even close to having enough data for a paper yet. We must keep exploring and researching. And this is such a tiny aspect of the whole addiction picture. And most experiments are done in model organisms. So we have to just kind of hope in a lot of ways that it's going to translate to the human condition. And putting this all together, it takes a really long time. Does that make sense, Sukant?
Yep. So I agree. So one of the issues is it takes forever. And the other issue is by design, things are small. Small has been one issue. So I'll talk to you about some things. So I faced horrible racism because I pointed out some issues of data fudging and clear problems with people's understanding at Cold Spring Harbor. So it was horrible experience. And I have photographs of some racist stuff, videos of this. Later when my account was hacked, they did not understand I was very politically active. As you know, at UT Austin, at the same time I was attending Socialist Workers Union, I was attending Democrats thing. I was attending Republican stuff. I was actually going to very free market oriented Vance club, and I actually even briefly attended Libertarian group. And the idea was to educate myself. It wasn't to be on one side, and there was a very clear thing because I was very concerned with two places which I loved at that time. Now I tolerate India. I don't pretend. I mean, as a CEO, one should always say nice things to sell, but I am who I am. So the thing is, um, I really wanted to transform India to US, but I also wanted US to do a lot better than it was doing.
Right.
I asked this question: what the fuck happened? I mean, I'm not very keen on that from my own podcast, but in 1971, till 1971, post World War II, the US economy, as it was growing, so was median household income, so their ability to buy, so was everything else. And around that time, what happened fundamentally is that the growth of wealth accumulation in the top tier happened, but productivity increased, but American households didn't do it well. Also, gradually, with the opening up of China, manufacturing went away. So, as you know, now I'm trying to build up local supply chains in USA, which are just working for US and Canada. And in case something has to be an extended supply chain, it is from friendly countries. I was interested in space technology. I'll tell you, just a year ago, like before something happened, 2 months before I launched two satellites, my student launched two satellites with NASA. Somebody was laughing. He said, "Oh, you know something in machine learning. You're originally a biologist. Two is too many things. Why are you doing three?" I said, "Actually, it's not three, it's few hundred things, which I do. Just because you haven't gotten a chance to look on Google and you can only search on PubMed what a publication is, right? I can't really answer that." And he laughed. He said, "Space, okay, takes 40 years and try to put something up in space." 2 months later, I actually literally threw a news article on his face. Went to the newspaper. It said, "Yeah, here is a team which put two satellites up in space with NASA, and here's the first one in India to do it." And we did it in few $1,000 budget. I just financed it
That's amazing.
from my pocket. So, but I realized that most academicians' mindset is so small. And now in the same space thing, we have a team of two other engineers who are working on the Mars rover's project. Before COVID-19 happened, they hit the final round. I think post COVID-19, we'll see whether we qualify. We might end up designing the next Mars rover. And even if we fail in with NASA, I'll try to get there before them independently. You can't stop me. That's kind of the attitude I have in academia. But when I was talking about why American cities are not as eco-friendly, and by eco-friendly, I did not mean a hippy-dippy small commune. I meant bustling cities like New York. How can we make them even more eco-friendly? And when I was arguing with somebody at Cold Spring Harbor, they said, "You're a fly biologist." So people in academia like to give labels, right? You're working with fly, you're a fly biologist. You're hired for electrophysiology, you're an electrophysiologist. Or you know a few machine learning algorithms, you are an AI person. I'm like, no, I'm an innovator. I was about to drop the second F bomb, but you know, so people, academics, do not process that. So academia by design is by and large not serving a purpose. People like you and me, I know you have a passion for addiction. I have passion for a few things. I lost my mom to depression, so I have a huge thing for depression. I was passionate about addiction. My father always had these issues that kind of drove me to work towards addiction. And I have some people very close to my heart. Actually, I'll not reveal the relationship, not blood relationship, somebody very close emotionally who's suffering a lot from epilepsy. So I'm actually in my company, as I always say, depression, epilepsy, and we see the whole world suffering because of SARS-CoV-2. These are three projects from which we don't intend to make profit. We are making money, but all the money is being reinvested in further growth and development. Not a single penny is going to my salary.
Yeah.
Absolutely not a single penny, my salary or my equity, nothing's going. I'm still going to be driving my broken Toyota likely by the end of it, at least from this company. If I make money from some of the other things I'm doing, maybe it'll go slightly up than Toyota. Maybe it'll go up to a Tesla, but you know, I will continue not making money on these three projects. So, but most academicians don't think big. And I think people like you and I who try to think bigger, they find themselves to misfit in academia. And misfit in academia in the US is slightly there, not a whole lot. In developing countries like India, where I raised issues of corruption, I have a knife mark right next to my heart. The person missed by half an inch, otherwise I would have been dead. I have audio, video evidence of directors sleeping with faculty, financial corruption, somebody asking me, somebody saying, if you shut up, we'll make you the top ranking scientist. If you don't shut up, you'll not walk out alive out of this. They didn't realize I was having a camera of my cell phone. So India is a whole different ballgame. I mean, I encountered horrible things in New York, but that was nothing like this, right? It's still academic rot. It's not like the rot of third world countries, which I faced in India. But coming to the academic things, not the extreme horrible things which I have faced in my life, and I still stay by and large determined. And I would say by and large determined because I encountered enough things that I do have post-traumatic stress disorder about two things, and every night is a challenge to fall asleep, and every morning I am waking up with some horrible dream. But most of the day I keep myself so busy, 16 hours a day, that I still end up being productive. I'll not say normal, but still very productive. So, but rest of the academia also, for people who have smoother trajectory, who have not taken wrong decisions, who have not been in the wrong country, academia by design, as we said, is slow, but it also has some other problems. I mean, I'll come to some fixes which I have in mind, but what do you think are other problems with academia, and why is it so screwed up right now?
Yeah, so one of the things, yeah, like you mentioned, there's a lot of structural issues right now, and you know, a lot of the ways that academic is structured actually severely limits the development of actual solutions. And basically, scientists need to make a living. They feel insecure almost the entire time. Most of them do, at least. And so they need to get grants. And in order to get grants, you have to produce results and publish papers. I mean, that's just how things are at this point. And it seems logical in many ways. And one way to succeed in this environment, kind of unfortunately, is to do very safe science or incremental science. You can't really publish negative results in today's environment. It doesn't have an impact. It doesn't help your career in very many ways. So a lot of people choose to do, you know, just what's the next small step in my research. And you know, this can really, I mean, it's okay. You're making progress and you're playing it safe, and you're probably going to have a decent career, but it's really not going to provide the type of solutions that people actually need at this point.
Absolutely. I'll give you 3-4 examples. So I had an idea, and I'm usually wrong. I'm not the brightest person. I'm a fairly bright person, but I'm not the brightest person. Nobody can claim that. Nobody can claim that on all topics. If you claim that, you're not a scientist. You don't really understand spirit of science. We all are fallible. Nobody is infallible. So I had this hypothesis that certain ion channel blockers would be absolutely amazing and will give us insights for some A, new antimicrobials, B, for combinatorial therapy of cancer, and C, for diabetes. One of the persons where I last worked, CDRI, her qualification is that she's related to one of the most famous Indian scientists. That's basic qualification, nothing else. She heard that I'm now having a lot of trouble with director, and she said, these are generic blockers, they'll not do anything. My things were not returned, and she, I think, made calls or something happened that somebody at All India Institute of Medical Sciences was doing that. We had submitted 3 papers together, and she wrote to me, we never collaborated. I said, where are these emails from? So she tried to call my Delhi director, who tried to threaten me because her father and the Delhi director of IGIB are friends. So the person at AIMS again had the qualification that her father used to be at AIMS. So in India, obviously, we are talking of a whole new league of academic rot. But the fact is, when you're talking of negative results, so in cancer, we found something absolutely amazing. And the guy, I had to literally tell this person who has a PhD and who has a postdoc and then has been running a lab for 8 years, I had to literally tell him, look, you are being unethical. I wrote direct emails, copied the director. You give me in writing that why will you not publish it? He said it's a negative result. And secondly, the director doesn't like to publish with you. I highlighted that segment, sent it to the overall head of Indian institutes in the CSR system. And the person basically said, oh, I really want to write the paper. I said, what happened? He said, please send me the manuscript, I'll edit it, because he realized that I'll probably put an opinion piece in Nature or Science about how stupid Indian researchers are. But what was the thing was that in this case, what results came out is when I was putting ion channel blockers of certain kinds, which you and I understand really well, right? Whether you're working on a BK channel or you're working at SK channel or IKL, you're working with low voltage potassium channels, IKLVM. So I had certain ideas on how cancer cells will be different and how they will actually respond. And we came up with exactly opposite results. And I was like, this is brilliant. This is absolutely amazing. I'm very glad to be wrong, as I'm often wrong. You know, that's why you do experiments. If I was always right, why would I need to do experiments? And I was like, so in some cases, we could reduce the amount of chemotherapy needed. In some cases, the amount of chemotherapy needed was higher. And what it told us is likely that if you're taking certain blood pressure medicine, your chemotherapy is going to work less well. And that's very relevant for so many people. So many cancer patients are blood pressure patients. And I had to literally explain the person point by point that this is better result than what we were hoping to get. And now he's telling me, why are you not publishing it? I was like, literally, I just stopped short of calling him son of a bitch. I was like, do you see this string of emails? I was the one who wanted to publish it. You know, so people don't realize what is the value of their negative result. And actually, again, another story I had. So we have come across with one of the best things for liver fibrosis. I think my company might end up making not in million, but in $1 billion figure out of that molecule. So I was trying to pursue it in academia. I got a lot of people to fudge data on that, whatever. But one group which did things fine, they didn't want it published because it was known to work for injury. It was known to work for arthritis. It was known to work for old people. We realize it's really diabetes. And it was known to work for alcoholics when people turned yellow, which means jaundice and liver. So we really pursued the lead related to liver fibrosis, and we have active ingredients. So we're very close to, you know, working on its synthesis. So amazing story, which I all got done in private sector because I realized at least the academia in India could not deliver. I'm not saying academia cannot, because we are now collaborating with somebody at Stanford, and they're doing amazing job, and we are collaborating with somebody at Chile. And even though Chile is a developing country like India, they are doing absolutely amazing work. So it's not that, you know, everyone in academia sucks. But what happened in India when we were going about doing that is people in the antimicrobial group, they said, why would you like to publish? It doesn't kill any microbe. I was like, because the finding is that it's helping deal with injuries because it does two things. It kills damaged cells. That's why it's working in liver fibrosis. And secondly, it reduces inflammation. It's probably the most beautiful compound probably that exists in the world right now.
Sounds amazing.
And they were just interested in, oh, it's not killing salmonella, it's not killing bacillus, it's not killing this strain or that strain. We checked it against 20 mycobacteria species. I was like, this is brilliant. It's not antimicrobial. And when I really called up the person that I really want to publish it, he said, publish it, but without my name. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So in US, if I had explained, it would have gotten through. Quality of academics in India is anyway extremely, extremely poor. It did not get through, but the mindset is it has to be positive result. And US also has a lot of issues of data fudging, plagiarism, but it's not even 1/10 of what is in India. So India and China are known to be the worst criminal offenders. So the mindset is whatever your teacher says, teacher is God. Instead of my attitude, I think I've ended up, I'm the troublemaker, right? Some for valid reasons and some invalid. Wherever I'm wrong, I'm happy to accept it. I have always loved people who work with me or under me. I always had problems with people who have been above me, right? Always had like this attitude, middle finger up, working above me and giving me orders, right? So I know that side of me, but they've been also hugely unfair things. There've been things which were fairly somebody's ego got hurt. I can understand that. As scientists, we are all humans. Nobody is above human emotions. Perfectly well understandable. But I have realized in India, because if somebody's not even teacher, their PhD boss came up with some hypothesis, the data gets contorted by sort of the grandchild sort of in equivalent terms to fit that thing.
Right.
And whatever labs data doesn't exist, oh, and there is in India, I recorded these things. They're like, oh, that's some stupid American lab or that's some Chinese lab. I'm like, is it some stupid religious place or is it science, right?
Yeah.
To who you are citing. So I've seen that extreme in academia of ghettoism. At some level, the way academia works is almost like mafia. Things stay within the family. There are clans.
Oh, definitely.
It's pretty horrible. So when you think of scientists, I literally loved Darwin. I obviously haven't taken that much time out for surveys, but we have conducted more than 30 surveys. And I've done it not from evolutionary angle, I've done it from the perspective of finding novel medicinal plants. People think that my company is powered by AI. They don't realize half of what it is powered by is by going in most challenging places on Earth, which people used to like to see in survival shows. So going there without almost anything and actually having two horrible things where I, again, here to tell the story, I survived being lost in the middle of jungle for 3 days straight.
Wow.
And reaching the state of almost being prepared to drink urine before I saw the road. So half an hour, if it was half an hour more, I would have been able to tell how urine tastes. So fortunately, I didn't get to that stage.
I would watch Survivor Sukant Khurana personally if you made a video.
But what happened is my students made fun of me that, Sukant, you still haven't lost weight. After being lost in jungle, they had sent search parties for me. I mean, I had a very loyal bunch of students who were trying to make sure I'm alive, do everything in the world to see me alive. But the first statement they said, you've been lost for 3 days, but you still haven't lost any weight. It's like, no, I found enough fruit. And I even tried to tell them that I tried to kill the giant Malabar squirrel. So I said I was unsuccessful in killing a squirrel and roasting it, but I'm pretty sure that I built the right snares for it. So, but yeah, I managed to survive on vegetarian food, and I was still as fat as I am coming out. but yeah. So academia, coming back to the regular academic scientist, it has tons of issues of being closeted, but there is a fix. I mean, I may sound almost science fiction-like. It's probably 50 years ahead. I hope it's just 5 years ahead. And I'll even state out where I am in terms of what my mission is, and people don't like it. Because I think, you know, America, USA is built on a lot of contradictions, to some extent even Canada. But the whole idea is freedom, which has started from Renaissance. So several countries in Europe also have that spirit. It was taken to its maximum extreme in North America with intermingling of different cultures, different contradictions, some horrible past such as slavery, right? So it's not free of its dark underbelly. There have been a lot of things. There is racism, which has been part of original sin and formation of US. There have been genocides, but there have been amazing things. That freedom that makes it even more special than other places and shining city on the hill. So where I see US being, it needs to fundamentally transform education at all steps, because there is a disconnect. See, undergraduate education is so expensive, and there is a disconnect even in school. And schools, private versus public schools have a disconnect. Rich districts versus poor districts have a disconnect. And then college education, so many loans. And when you get to PhD research, see, a lot of PhD research gets eaten up, whether by design, whether my PI, so like my PI, who you know well, told me that I'll be a competition to him. If I join some other lab, I should not attend lab meetings. He felt so threatened by me. And out of the 7 projects I did in the lab, only 2 were published. Especially after I went to Gordon conference, I think he really hated me, because people were saying that you've done more than some faculty have done in their lifetime. And after that, I had 10 horrible years of making wrong steps, account being hacked, and then being in India. And forget my life. I mean, honestly, I like to joke how egoist I am or narcissist I am. You kind of know at the end of the day, it's never been about making money. I mean, I do get angry pretty soon, but it's been about let's transform the world, right? Let's make it a better place. So it's also about how many cancer patients we could have cured in that time, how many autistic patients we could have cured. So it's about finding a solution. It's not about publications. But my PhD boss was really afraid. Now imagine if the system was very different. If the system was that whatever work you do is put on a blockchain, you are having AI which is giving you feedback on your work, even experimental design, you are not being judged by human reviewers alone, and your work is being incrementally judged. It's put
Right.
out in form of a report when you finish something. I'm suggesting a model where nature, cell, PNS, plus fun, everything goes extinct.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether we want to do it for every place, because some place may even confuse the system with a lot of junk data. But it's an experiment which should be started in small place in US and then expanded at least to all of US and Canada. Can
Right.
we make academia, because academia is there for pursuit of knowledge. There's nothing fundamentally uh, wrong about its mission. It has the most noblest of missions. It just needs reinvention. Can
Right.
we reinvent academia, and can we even bridge the gap between academia and industry? And I think there are several things. Beyond this publication, beyond this guidance, beyond this platform where everyone is hooked onto a central platform, where their experiments are being monitored, feedback is given, there is no scope of data fudging. Also, trying to think of upskilling America, because I mentioned to you what happened in 1971. What the fuck happened, right? Why did we move in two different trajectories? We moved in trajectory where productivity went up, rich people got richer, but then a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Americans couldn't afford things, and then later we moved manufacturing out of America. I still want to help India because it's the place where I was born, but I have I have lost hope, right? After what all I suffered, what my mom suffered, and I lost her to depression after seeing all my suffering attempts on my life. It was all my suffering that she absorbed.
Mm.
So I have given up on India. I still want to make education cheaper for people in India and all, but now my heart beats only for America, right? I mean, I want to transform the place which I think is the best place in the world to even save humanity. I mean, right now we are going through so many stupid things of global warming, so many viruses coming alive.
Right.
So US should be the place where all the innovation comes. I mean, maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
just two places I've lived in my life, and I don't think you and I would agree on the best place, because for me within US also, Austin has the best memories. So I like sort of the bit of the rebellious spirit of Texas. But
Yeah.
Luisa tells me that I may not find it as good now, because since I left Austin, it's been 10 years. It's transformed into, it's become more New Yorkish. It's less rugged, it's less university town. It's more of a corporate place and not necessarily the place which I love.
Yeah.
So we'll see
Yeah.
what it ends up being for the rest of the life. It's still a journey for me. But fundamentally, other things in America, which are not about just this publication and fixing research process, what needs to be fixed in academia is so many Americans take courses which are not relevant to them. They can't learn something from that and make money,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are other aspects too. I don't want to keep on going. I think competition in a healthy way needs to come back in.
Right.
Not everyone needs to get a gold star.
Yeah.
I know I'm
I've,
touching sensitive issues, but I think not. We need to make sure nobody is a loser, but we need to stop telling people everybody is a winner. So the
mm-hmm.
problem is we still have the rotten system of judging people by the same standards. Let's say if somebody tried to judge me by my ability to run, I'll be the loser. But if somebody tries to judge me on my ability to come up with the best medicines or smartest AI solutions, I'll likely be the winner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to, what people are not doing is that every person is special. They're not judging them, they're one shoe fits all, but then they are trying to pretend that everyone is a winner.
Mm-hmm.
So one shoe fits all system of education right from the childhood, and then trying to say, oh, every one of you is a gold star winner, every one of you is a champion, is a rubbish way of teaching people. You're not teaching people either struggle, you're not improving their skills, and then the courses which are available are useless. College education itself is becoming less and less useful in fourth industrial revolution. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to pitch in, plug in anything, but people, I guess, who search my name will know that I'm trying to fix a lot of these problems. So when we talk of education, it has to start from kindergarten all the way to the highest academic research or industrial research. And I think my life will be worthwhile even if I can make 1% improvement in it. So that's sort of my take on academia. Brooks, if you have something to say to sort of conclude it, you can say.
Okay, well, I mean, a lot of what you were saying about the competition, I completely agree on, and wanted to touch on this hyper competition a little bit before we end, because we're taught that it's such, competition is such a good thing. It drives people towards great accomplishments, but the competition in the current scientific environment is really dampening things. There's such,
Yeah.
the resources, the funding, the faculty positions, they're scarce commodities right now. And the competition is fierce, and many scientists are so cagey, so secretive. They need to keep their findings. They need to be the first to publish, the first to get the grant, to keep that job. They're not collaborating as much, and they're not sharing both methods and data. It's just not a lot. In a lot of ways, it's not out there. Like you said, if we can get things more openly available, more collaborative, I think it could go a really long way in improving how academia is done in the U.S. and hopefully lead the rest of the world in that regard. So
Yeah, but whatever happens in the rest of the world, I think US needs to set an example.
oh, definitely.
It's not just in the superhero movies. US actually was a superhero in World War II. US was a superhero when it came to clash of two ideologies, and Soviet Union was beaten hands down.
Yeah.
US still has the dynamism. It is just having an unnecessarily long nap. It needs to be woken up from its nap.
Yep.
Come back and fight again. It will stand up, and I think it will fight back again. So on that positive note, let's end this episode. I'll thank everyone for listening to me and Brooks. And sorry for it being very long, because we are old friends and we end up talking about a lot of things. So it's unlike other podcasts. It was very, very long, very personal also. So I would ask you to visit my company, www.ioncureRx.com. We also always invite volunteer scientists. So you can contact us at volunteer@ioncurerx.com or contact@ioncurerx.com. And do know that for SARS-CoV-2, epilepsy and depression, SARS-CoV-2 doesn't have a personal reason, but I hate to see the world suffer. And depression and epilepsy have very personal reason. So for these topics, we are using the money to build the company. We are reinvesting. So we are charging people, but we are putting the things back in building facilities, paying scientists. I'm not taking a single penny from whatever is coming for these 3 streams of revenue. There is not going to be a single equity taken, and we are building a better future for the world. We'll love to have you as part of our mission. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sukant.